Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Season 6 of the MindShare podcast. This show is sponsored by Kits Keep In Touch Systems, a two-time international award-winning marketing suite for sales professionals. REM Real Estate Magazine, Canada's premier monthly magazine for real estate professionals. And OREA, the Ontario Real Estate Association, Canada's largest provincial real estate association. Speaking of OREA, did you get your tickets for Reality 24 yet? This two-day event will bring the country's top realtors to the nation's capital, where all the decisions that affect home ownership are made here in this country. Plus, the one and only Basketball Hall of Famer Magic Johnson, as well as founder of FUBU, Damon John, will also be in the house. To learn more about all the incredible speakers we have at Reality 24, the expansive trade show, the networking and after-hour events, and much more, be sure to visit realityconference.ca. And be sure to get your tickets today so that you can join us at Reality 24, where every session, every panel, and keynote is designed to give you a new perspective on the future of real estate. Of course, you can learn more about all of our sponsors by visiting my site, mindshare101.com. And while you're there, be sure to download your free copy of our MindShare 101 goal-setting worksheet, as well as learn more about our one-to-one coaching and keynote speaking. Today's episode is number 271. She serves as Regional Vice President at RE/MAX Canada, overseeing strategic growth and operations across all provinces, with the exception of the independently owned Quebec region. In her role, she works closely with the Western Canada Regional Team and the Ontario Atlantic Canada Region Team to build a cohesive national franchising strategy that includes recruiting, retention, and operational consulting. She began her RE/MAX career in 2010 with sub-master franchisor RE/MAX Integra. Working her way up the ranks within the operational department, in 2016, she was named Director of Operations, overseeing day-to-day operations relating to administration, membership, billing, and collections, business intelligence, and franchising. She understands the importance of creating a healthy culture of productivity, customer service, and professional development, always encouraging her team to leverage the power of the RE/MAX brand and resources to the RE/MAX network. Joining me on this episode of the MindShare podcast is Regional Vice President of RE/MAX Canada, Samantha Villiard. Samantha, welcome to the MindShare podcast.
Wow, what an intro. Thank you very much for having me.
It's an honor to have you here today. We're very excited to get into this conversation, actually. Today I am excited to get into this conversation. Look, that makes it sound like I'm not excited to get into most of my conversations. But just even the convo we were having before we got on air together, and like, we're going to dive into it all, but you being, a mom and so ingrained in your family life, which I just absolutely adore. Like, I watch it. I know you see like my messages, like I'll like DM you, like, like amazing. Anyways, excited to have you here today.
Thanks for having me. I've listened to the podcast for years, and it's definitely part of my my routine, which we'll get into as well, about when to clear your head and when to take on opportunity to learn and learn from others. So thank you for all that you do for the industry, because I think it's important for us to share things like this. So hopefully I can add to that a little bit today.
Oh, I got no doubt that you will, and you are the bomb. I truly, truly appreciate you tuning in. I really do. It means a lot.
Cool.
So tell me, Regional Vice President of RE/MAX Canada, talk to us. What's a typical day in the life of you look like? Like, you are not on a plane right now. This is wild, right?
Yeah, this is weird. I'm not in an airport or a hotel room. I'm working from home. So I'm situated in just outside of Toronto in Milton. And so I have my family out here, but essentially a day in the life of a regional VP is busy. No 2 days are ever the same. I think it's important just to note that I'm more on the franchising side. So I have to, speak directly with agents and broker owners and teams and really get a feel for what they're feeling in the industry, so that I can then take that back to the team and service them in the best way possible. So truly all around, customer service, heavily focused on achieving that goal of just making everybody feel supported, both internally at our office, but also intern the network as well for the agents and the brokers. So it's a really unique role for sure.
I think that's like wicked important right there. I think that's something that gets missed in a lot of places. And like, look, this could go from like major brand right down to like
Yeah.
smaller team when we call it, even like of having a few people there, truly trying to understand what's going on at street level. Right? What's going on with the people that we're servicing, with the people that are part of our ecosystem?
Yeah.
What are the actual challenges and how can we deal with those? So it's cool to actually know that somebody is there. Or I'm sure there's more. There's lots of somebodies, and you got a team with you that helps you with this stuff. But that you guys are listening, and you want to help people.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of the attitude we have, at least at the region level, is to do more listening than talking. And so, some years we've been better at that than others. And I think that now is more than ever the time. Things are changing. Technology is changing. As we know, the industry is going through its moment. So I think listening is key, and taking and not being afraid to try new things. We all need to do that in business. Every successful business needs to eventually get out of that whatever rut. And just because it was working for them 10 years ago may not be working for them now. So, real estate agents in their business need to adapt to that same mentality. If whatever I was doing 5 years ago is not going to help them into 2024 and 2025. So
it's that little bell curve between business of like trying to figure out, okay, wait, we're in a dip. What can we do? Yeah. So again, amazing stuff that you guys do that. Now, you're also a mom. Okay. So we're talking like this big executive role with a major brand, and this is, I got love for all brands out there, but I've said it very openly many, many times before. You could go anywhere in this entire planet with that balloon on your lapel and people know what you do for a living. And I think that that's important because that creates immediate trust. I guess that's a moment where I should, as a marketer, take a second here to say to everybody, leverage that brand, right? Like, whatever brand you're with, I guess, but especially being with what I'm going to say is the Remax brand, you got to leverage it.
Yeah.
Right. Because autonomy is okay. But moreover, when you've got a brand like this that's so easily recognized and so trusted out there in the marketplace, I mean, again, it just helps. But anyways, being a mom, how old are your kids? Are they involved in extracurriculars that demand your time beyond home?
They are soon to be 5 and 3. I have a boy and a girl, so I get to experience both. And they're both very different. They're still so young. So we're still in that toddler phase. I think like you guys, your family, you're in the next phase where it's just,
Yeah, my son's 12, my daughter's 10. So
yeah, and I think you're at that next moment where they still enjoy still spending time with you. They're not in those teenage years yet where they don't care to spend any time.
Joshua's getting there. Let me tell you. He's like, Dad. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Dad. Okay.
Yeah, right? Sure. You know everything, Dad. Yeah. And then I'm in the still early stage where we're coming out of diapers and we're discovering the defiant, personality stage. So they don't really have extracurricular activities at the moment, but they are full-time. You have to have eyes on the back of your head at all times. Yeah. So, we were saying before the word balancing, I think is key to talk about today and what that looks like. So is this
totally.
tricky?
And we're definitely get there, but I'm curious, like as again, we think about the role that you play in business and the role that you play at home. I'd say executive level at both, right? Talk to me about being a mom. Like, does being a mom in a role like yours, and when I say in a role like yours, I'm talking about the business side of life, right? Does being a mom pose a different set of challenges for you?
Yeah, taking a step back, before I'm very driven, very detail orientated. I'm very go all the time. I don't have an off button. And so, which tell me to turn off when I tend to ramble. You can tell me that anytime. I think
ladies and gentlemen, this will be a 3-hour show today. No.
Special edition, 2-parter. I think going back and looking, 5 years ago, I just had my son, and I very quickly realized I had to lose control. I lost control. I lost control of everything because this little human being needs you to do everything for them, and your priorities shift, and nobody can prepare you for that, either parent. And I think that moment, that first few months, that first year of being a mom taught me to literally let go and let live, and let other people let go and let live, and not be so controlling, not being so disappointed by other people not meeting certain expectations, because I need to better set boundaries. I need to better set expectations. I need to be more communicative, especially with my husband, but also at work. And so remembering also that 5 years ago, or 4.5 years ago, was the pandemic. So we had, a pandemic, working from home. We're not sure what was going on in the real estate industry. We weren't sure what businesses were doing. People were being shut down left, right, and center. There was no daycare for children. It was chaos that year in 2020. So I think just that moment has taught me to being that moment of being a mother at the very beginning taught me better control, just better accountability for myself and others, that it actually helped my business life, being a mom, honest to God. It was the struggles and the challenges, of course, but there was something in it that changed in me, that I would not be able to be as successful as I am now if that life altering moment didn't change me in the way that it did.
Like, would you say like a calming effect almost?
Yeah,
Or like effect. I can take on more?
Both. Yeah. I think it was a calming effect. It was losing control and not worrying about certain things that don't need to be worried. It was teaching me how to delegate, how to trust others to take things on and do things the way I can be very clear in being communicative, setting, expectations, and people will, if they want to be there and they want to have the same goal that you do, they will achieve what you want out of them. And that's important to have that mentality on a team, just as it is with your own children and your life at home, I think. But yeah, I think that it definitely taught me to calm, for sure.
Well, it's amazing though, right? Like, because as you go through it, like, and for for anybody tuned in that has children, young children, has gone through parenthood, it's challenging. Like, it doesn't stop pulling at you from any direction, and especially when you're trying to, focus on your professional career as well. And in some cases, it's much of a desire. In many cases, it's a need. It'll continue to pose challenges. Now, I'm curious. I'd say, do you feel that there are any stigmas around being a female in an executive position, coupled with the fact that you're also a mom? And if yes, because I imagine I mean, I got to imagine there's many, but what advice or maybe suggestions, do you have for how, like, we as society even can work to overcome all of that? And this could be coming from a mom, a dad, a person, a guy, a female, like anybody.
Yeah, I think, of course there's stigma. I think just the other day, an old friend of mine asked to take me for coffee because she had an opportunity at work. She works for a very large organization. She's very successful there, and she wanted to throw her hat in a ring for a promotion. And the promotion had a lot of travel, like more travel than I do. So she wanted to run it by me. And I listened and went through, what does that look like at home? And she said, well, I went to my boss and I told him that I was interested. And he looked at me like I had 3 heads and said, but you have 3 small children. You want to do this? And so I think that put the doubt in her mind. And so I have nothing but understanding for how any parent feels, because I've men on my team that have young children as well, and it's hard for them as well. It's hard for all of us as parents, but I just don't think you should be saying yes to more. And there are ways to find the support. There are ways to work around it. And honestly, it comes from within, and that's just being better organized, being better accountable for things, being very communicative. I can't stress that enough. Telling people, what it is that you need and what it is that your family needs. And there are, like we said earlier, there are people around that want to help, and there are ways around doing it. So, but it is out there for sure that, like, what, for her boss to say to her, what, I can't believe you would even consider this because you have small children, just put that doubt in her mind. And she shouldn't have to. She can totally do it. She could totally do it.
It's funny as as you and I were chatting prior to getting not just on air today, but just overall, even, talking about today's show.
Yeah.
And we brought up, the concept around, women in business. And it took me a little bit of time to kind of break it down in my mind for how to approach the topic. And again, for yourself, and I know I've shared this with you, but for everybody tuned in, like, this concept of women in business has been a topic of discussion a lot over the past number of years. And it continues to come up more regularly each and every single day. And, for all the women out there and to all the women who are moms out there, I personally don't see it as a big topic. And I know that that might sound really jarring to some people right now, but I want to back that up by saying, I guess maybe the way I was raised, maybe that's all it comes down to is just that. But man, woman, race, like whatever color we are, where we're from. I personally, through my own goggles, I think everybody's the same. And I've looked at this as a bigger issue. Like, forget about just the male female thing, but even when we talk about the race topic, and I understand the stigmas. I'm not trying to downplay any of that stuff or sound insulting to anybody, because that's certainly not the case. Moreover, the way I look at it is to say, we're all equal, aren't we? And if that person is the right person for the job, or for the role in whatever it is, then shouldn't that person be the person that gets it?
Mm-hmm.
And we're all people, we're all human, none of this stuff should ever get in the way of opportunity. And that's, I guess that's my thinking around it, right? Because I know we've got groups out there that are dedicated to just women, or we've got groups out there dedicated to specific races or whatever it be. And like, I'm going, hey, as we continue to work up this ladder of society being more inclusive with everybody, does it not just go without saying that we're all just the same? And I don't know, maybe that's just me, but
No,
I want to throw that out there to everybody, right? Because it's like not meant to be like downplaying the whole thing. Moreover, kind of supporting in a major way.
Yeah, I think it's important to note the opportunities are there. Just speaking for women, the opportunities are there for us. So in any business, there's always going to be opportunity, and not everyone wants to take it at that moment. And that doesn't mean that all women are not hungry for opportunity or hungry to rise to the top. I think it's just the ones that really want it, there is way to do it. And I guess as a woman, there's the side of the voice of doubt, like my friend and her boss saying, but you have small kids. Why would you?
It blows me away today. Like that he even said it. Yeah. Right. That's
that
what I
would
mean.
never happen to you if you went as a man and went in looking for the opportunity. If you had the same children with the same age, you wouldn't have that. You would never have that being said to you. So it puts the doubt in her mind. And I guess being supportive and having these separate groups is important to understand that we're all in this together. We all get told these things. These are challenges. And I guess my own experience with it is I've been given wonderful opportunities, and I've taken them all knowing it's going to be really, really hard. And it is on nobody but myself to make sure that I meet those goals and ambitions that I have. No one else is going to hand that to me. And if I want something, just because I have small children, just because I live far away from where the work is, if that's the issue or whatever it may be, it comes down to solely what work am I putting in to making the best of it. And I know that I can do it. I think it just comes down to individuals, honestly. You're going to like that or not, I don't know.
No, I love that. And I love what you just said, knowing that I can do it. And I know, again, a lot of my listeners heard me say this many times, but I tell my kids every day of their life as I kiss them goodnight, like, you can do it. Yeah. It was really awesome. Yesterday, actually, we got the kids' first term report card came home.
Yeah.
And the teacher at the end of Joshua's at the end of something said, like, Joshua, you can do it. And I was like, yeah, yes, you can. Like, anybody can.
Yeah.
But now, with all that said, how do you stay organized with it all? How focused are you on the concept of time and actually leveraging a schedule to manage your days?
I am known at work to run a well-oiled machine. If it is not going smoothly, if there is not process being followed, policy, procedure being followed, it all falls apart in my eyes, and everybody hears about it.
You start cracking the whip, eh? You start cracking that whip.
Yeah. And so in the nicest way possible. But it is so true with any business, whether it's you're in business for yourself, you work like I do with a large team in a corporation. And so if you're not spending, the night before preparing for the next day, especially if you have a family, I think that that's something that I incorporate into my routine is the night before really sets the tone for the next day and thereafter. And then, you said about like that concept of time and respect of time. I cannot stress that enough, that you should not be focused your efforts on something that is not. You need to focus on things that are going to be revenue generating, but also where is it developing yourself and where is it developing relationships? Because if you're not developing relationships or yourself or learning, when that opportunity comes for you to generate more revenue, it's not going to be there. You'll have nothing to follow through on. So I think just sticking to a process, a routine, something that makes sense, so that in business, everybody knows what their expectation is and what their specific role is and how to all work together. But also in the family as well, I think it's important to know, what does dad need to step in and help with here? What are the kids, as young as they are, what do they need to be doing? And what am I going to be doing when I come home? Because we all know that crazy hour, right?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, what have you learned about achieving an even work-life balance? Because again, work never stops.
It doesn't.
These things keep us distracted, these phones, right? They keep us locked and loaded into always communicating with somebody else, always looking at somebody else, always accessible. But we need time to turn that off. We need time to be able to look. And I love what you just did when you first said, revenue generating, but then you also said, taking care of you, learning, because otherwise you will not have the opportunity to do, and making sure you're focused on what you need.
Yeah.
What have you learned about achieving that work-life balance?
It was at the beginning, it was hard. Because I've always been very structured, militant is the right word, almost like I wake up in the morning and I make my bed and I brush my teeth and I do these steps, and I don't deviate, and I teach my children the same thing, and I expect the same from my team, and that they are doing what they need to do so that they can hustle through that and then focus on the bigger picture topics or the that revenue generating task. So, but myself, I think that it's funny. I was reading this book. It was gifted to me. It was written by Indra Nooyi, I think is how you say her name. Indra Nooyi was the former CEO of PepsiCo.
Okay.
And so she has this beautiful life story of, she was born and raised in India and emigrated over to the US and just rise through the ranks over her 20s and 30s and 40s, and essentially ran one of these massive corporations and was very successful at it for a few years. And so she tells a story in her book, which, may I add, there was nothing in her memoir of a woman in business. I thought this is going to be a great read. There was only one piece that really sticks out, which I'll tell that in a story in a moment, but nothing was revolutionary. Nothing was like eye-opening in what she said. She literally just focused on hard work, learning, never giving up on learning, taking care of the underdog, the little people in your team. So the ones that are doing your administration, the ones that are, working through your billing, your administrators, the people that are not always front and center all the time, and taking care of those, understanding what are those people on the team doing? How can their life on the front lines or behind the scenes, how can they work better, or what's making them their lives a challenge, and how can I make their life better? Because eventually it'll work out at the top and create more revenue for the company. And so nothing was like, oh, wow, this woman really changed the landscape of business. Nothing like that at all. However, she said one thing. She tells the story that she had a wonderful day at work and was promoted to president of PepsiCo. So before she was CEO, it was the moment she got promoted. She came home and her mother was over helping her husband with their two young daughters. I think they were around the same age as my kids. And so again, she had this wonderful support system at home, and she talks a bit about that as well. She said she pulls up, gets out of the car, comes inside, and says to her mother right away, "I've just been promoted to president. I can't wait to celebrate. This is amazing. I can't wait to tell you about it." And her mom said to her, "You get back in the garage and leave your crown in the garage, and you come back in here and get this grocery list, because you're going to the grocery store and you're picking up milk for the girls."
Oh, wow. Promoted to president of PepsiCo.
Yeah.
Go get the milk.
Oh, that is my life. That of all the things this woman could have said, it just resonated so much, because that is exactly how a lot of us feel. You are, the realtors, you're hustling out there all day, and then you come home, women in business. I'm working on things that my husband has no idea the conversations that I'm having. My children have no idea what I've just dealt with all day. My crown comes off and gets left on the porch, and I come inside and I put my mom hat on, which is really like a Santa Claus hat. Let's be honest. It's not a crown. And
the cat in the hat, that big,
Yeah, the cat in the hat. Yeah, exactly. Or the Mary Poppins hat. And I'm like, I have to do everything. So I think that moment is, you have to leave the work at some point. You have to disconnect. You have to focus on the next priority, which is your first priority, which is your family and yourself.
Well said. Then, first priority.
Yes. Well yes. Said. Yes. And I think there is time for all of it. A mentor of mine for many years had said to me, "No one is begging you to get back to them this evening. You know that, right? That is all in your head. The work will be there tomorrow." And that's something for my business that's different for a corporate job than it is a realtor. I understand that. But there's something to be said of, when you're first meeting with your clients, setting those boundaries. Like, I'm not really reachable, or I can't do showings between 5 and 7 because I put my kids to bed. So no client's going to go, "Well, then you're not the right person for me." We just work around it. So,
look, I'll say this. I love what you shared here. I think the story about what you just shared with Pepsi was fantastic. And the concept around nobody is begging you to get back to them. I've said this time and time again, is if they need you that badly, trust me, you'll know it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that little ding that you just got on your phone, you don't need to respond right this second because it just came through. Mm-hmm. I look at the concept of time and think, and again, the way you brought it up before, of not just revenue generating, but like thyself, right? Mm-hmm. That's the way I look at it. Is that if I'm in control of time, which I can't actually control time, but I can leverage time to almost control me. Mm-hmm. Well, now I can actually leverage time to push me towards my goals and help me achieve my goals, which include a better version of me.
Yeah.
And that's both on the mental and the physical, right? So how, and I was breaking this down for Joshua yesterday, right? Because again, we're looking over his midterm report card, and we're, talking about goals and just self-regulation, because he's a very high energy kid. Like, he plays a lot of rep sports, so now you go to school and they got him doing gym class, where this guy is so far above from a competition level that some of this stuff for him is like mundane. But then I explained that to him in the same way with math class and science class and all these other classes about really putting your best foot forward. Mm-hmm. And I broke down for him yesterday, right? I said, if I say that I want to, lose weight, right? What do I have to do? And he looked at me, he says, well, and he started calling it out. He goes, well, I guess you got to, eat better. I said, exactly. But what does that mean? And then I quantified for him. And I said, then I got to go to the gym. He goes, yeah. And I says, well, how many times? And he looked at me, he goes, Dad, I get it. I said, see, I need to know how many times I do that. Then I have to take that and put that into my schedule. Yeah. See, you said the night before, the preparation the night before. Mm-hmm. I call that, the concept is called Monday starts on Sunday. Like, we've actually got an entire presentation we do on Monday starts on Sunday, mm-hmm. right? And whether it's Wednesday starts on Tuesday or Friday starts on Thursday, whatever, it's that concept of Monday starts on Sunday. It's just the preparation the night before. Looking at the goals. Saying to myself, what do I have to do from a business perspective?
Yeah.
What do I have to do from a personal life perspective? How's that all going to fit into my day, so that I'm coming out of this 24-hour window as the best version of me? So do you, are you locked into setting goals? And I imagine that you are. Just the sort of some of the things I'm hearing from you right now. Mm-hmm. But I guess the concept of time and goals, does what I said just resonate? Do you sort of play almost the same game in your world?
Yeah, absolutely. I have on the business side, I have, an overall goal of what we want the company to achieve. And then we put
Yeah.
forward a very in-depth strategy, how we're going to achieve it, what we're going to try, and then also understanding when we're going to pivot. I think that's important too, both personal and in business, that you have to, when you put a plan into place, you have to be open for challenges and you have to be open for change, that things can happen on, in a moment's notice, and you have to be able to pivot. And I think having the right people around you that are skilled is how you're going to achieve when that happens. But the overall planning, goal setting on the personal side, I do like to set those goals. I'm hungry always for it. And it really, those goals come to just, I want to learn something new. So if it's, I want to, learn more about on the finance side of business, and so I need to start thinking, okay, I need to be part of these meetings more. I need to start asking these sorts of questions. And I think there's something of there's confidence in the fact of just coming out and saying, I don't know this. Can someone teach this to me? And not feeling like, well, I'm not going to ask the question in the meeting, or I'm not going to call up the guy in finance and ask him to baby talk me through this. Explain this to me in layman's terms, please. That there's confidence behind just being curious. And I think women are more likely to hold back on asking questions because they don't want to be perceived a certain way. But definitely, I say to my team all the time, there's no silly questions, no stupid questions. That's how you're going to learn. And that's how you're going to achieve those goals. And figuring out what those goals are, I should say, is if you're not being curious and figuring out, where is there a gap in my business? Where is there a gap in my life, in my personal life, that I want to improve on? If you're not being curious about it, and then confident enough to figure out and learn more about it.
You keep using the word learn. And as you brought up the book and you said, like, there wasn't anything crazy earth shattering, but that one story really stood out. I would say that, for all the reading that I do, and I'm minimum 2 books a month. For all the reading that I do, there are not a lot of concepts that are brand new.
Yeah.
There are not. Like, everybody, and I read a lot of like business and marketing and then like biographies. Like, I want to know, how did they do it? Like, how does she or he get to where they got? Like, how did that happen?
Mm-hmm.
So many of the stories are so similar.
Yep.
Yet they're told through different lenses. They're told with a different voice. They're told with different challenges and different experiences. Yet a lot of the foundational things they've done are very much the same. Mm-hmm. And again, it comes back to setting goals, and it comes back to taking time to learn, and it comes back to somehow achieving that work-life balance. There's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be, mental distractions. You and I were talking about this before, that moment of what did we say, 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m. That is the most anxious time in my day, because I know I'm about to start transitioning into dad mode. And really, when I move into dad mode, like I'm go mode, right? Like I am not doing the business thing. I'm not responding to the email. I'm not looking at the phone. I'm not checking social media. I want nothing to do with it. That's not where I'm at this point. I'm with my favorite people in the world right now.
Yeah.
Right. I want to give them everything I possibly have. So it's amazing how much feeding your brain will continue to help you achieve what you want. Now, as we talk about that, let's talk accountability for a moment. And maybe you're going to say it's your kids, but what does keep you accountable on a daily basis? How do you ensure that you are getting it all done? And I mean, again, between mom and VP, like, that's, there's a lot of going on over there.
Yeah, I think at home, accountability for sure. I think I want to be super mom. What woman doesn't? That's of course. So whatever I can do to make that happen. But at work, the biggest thing that keeps me accountable, honest to God, is the people that I have on my team and surround myself with that are better, smarter, more skilled than me. And if I'm not constantly surrounding myself with people like that, I don't feel like I would have that accountability and that drive if I wasn't constantly. And I'm not saying I need to be competitive. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I see that they're driven, that they have this wonderful outlook on the fact that they just want to do better, whatever world that is. And I want to be like that too. I don't want to be sitting with someone who's, doesn't seem to want to improve on anything. So, I think it's definitely, I guess there's probably a saying about that you're, what is it? That you're nothing but the 5 people you surround.
Well, this is the thing. Like attracts like. I mean, it's when you're sitting around with negative people, there's going to be negative vibes going on, right? Like none of it bodes well for anybody that's trying to, achieve or persist through, to that next place that they want to get to in life.
And I think, running a really, high achieving team like I do, the people on my team are, so hungry to do better and so important in this business. And I'm so blessed to be able to get up and get to work with these people. I sometimes think like, how did I get here? But the accountability is really, if I am leading them, I need to be able to do what they are doing. I need to put myself in their shoes. I would never ask somebody to do something that I myself would not do. And that's always been a big part of my leadership journey, I think, was really getting boots on the ground, understanding everybody's role to the T so that I can improve it. That was so important to me. And that's why when, that CEO wrote in the book that's what she did, I thought, I've been doing that for years.
Yeah. Well, because I was going to ask you, like when we talk about leadership, right? Like, and you walk right into that one, like, looking at some of those most important characteristics of being a leader, because it's, and again, this is whether you're with a, big brand and you're in an executive role. This is whether you've got a small business with a smaller team. Maybe you are in real estate and you've got a team. Maybe you're a broker owner. Maybe you're an individual realtor who has a number of different people that are, call it, service providers that help you do what you do to bring the best experience you possibly can. So what would you say, maybe, is there anything that stands out as like, these are the characteristics that you found of being a leader? And I know you've already mentioned, be willing to do the work that you'd ask them to do, be willing to listen, as you mentioned from the book, respect those people that are around you that may not be in the central focus of other people's eyes all the time, but they're more in the background doing the stuff that they do. That's huge.
Yeah. I think what all of those things for sure. I think also being able to rely, like delegate, and being able to trust others is a big thing that in a leadership role you have to be able to do, which we spoke about that earlier. That was definitely an eye-opening experience, and I'm still learning how to delegate, to be honest, because I'm still learning how to do that.
I think it's always a work in progress, that, isn't it?
It must be, right?
It's got to be, because there's that fine balance of like not wanting to rely on other people to like have to do things, and then asking somebody to do, but in the way you approach that ask.
So it's communication, right? And I think you just hit the nail on the head with that. It is, if I cannot communicate to my team exactly what the expectation is, or what being able to clearly identify what the conflict is. What is the challenge? What is the problem we all need to solve today? I think that's how you get ahead in business, is you are constantly solving other people's problems. That is the crux of what we're doing. And I think if you're not able to clearly communicate that to your team and have them understand the importance of it. I've explained it before to teams that I've run in the past. There's a butterfly effect. So when one person on the team is accomplishing a task, if it's not done correctly or something gets missed, it will trickle down and start it'll become a problem for somebody else on the team. Mm-hmm. So it's not to say we're not to make mistakes, but when you've identified a mistake, you let it be known and the whole team can jump in and help, because it does affect everybody as a whole. And I can see that happening on any team, any industry, in any company. So I think communication is always key, and owning up when something's gone a bit sideways. And that doesn't mean, everyone's yelling at somebody for dropping the ball on something. It literally just means, okay, we screwed this up. Let's just get focused on how to fix it and get focused on the solution, and not dwell too much on the problem. I think that's a big thing in leaders tend to do, is focus all the time on what went wrong and not on, well, where's the solution and how do we keep people motivated to keep working towards solutions?
There's a real amazing action step for everybody right now. First off, none of us are perfect. There is no such thing as perfect. Again, Google that shit, okay? There is no definition. It's the process of working towards something. And so no matter how big or small your team may be or your business may be, when something comes up, communication is key.
Yeah.
Right. And Sam, I'll tell you, remember this for the kids as they get older, right? We teach them all the time. Like if something goes wrong, if you did something wrong, I'd rather hear it from you now than have to hear about it later from somebody else. I'd rather be able to help you fix it now than when it becomes a major problem. And so, I mean, that's, a nod to the mom, dad front, the family front. Much the same, take that to a business front and say, okay, so you've got an issue. Well, if you keep it bottled up and pretend it didn't happen, as you said, there's the butterfly effect. Whereas if you can communicate with somebody and go, hey, I screwed up or this thing's gone wrong. I need help. We got to fix this thing. And you come at it basically straight on. The person on the other end probably turns around and goes, ah, shit. All right, let's go.
Yes.
Right. And there's there's an oh shit moment, but then there's okay, let's dive in. Let's roll up the sleeves and let's get this fixed.
Yeah.
But if you waited on that like days or never said anything, and then somebody found out after, they'd go, well, why the hell didn't you tell me about it? We could have fixed it. And next thing you know, the situation's become severely amplified in a negative way.
Yeah.
So I think the point you brought up is absolutely amazing, right? Like, butterfly effect, it just, coupled with communication, it is so crucial, to getting through challenges. Now, as we talk about challenges, a recent report showed us that about 45,000-ish agents have apparently left the business, and since the market's been changing. We could dive into like an entire probably 3 episodes about, all of that and what the reasons are. But what message or advice do we have for anybody, in the business who's finding it really hard out there right now?
You know what? I think from what the conversations I've been having with brokers and agents about it is, am I focused on this business is real estate? This is my full-time business. And have I made it my full-time business? And I think those that have left perhaps didn't do any deals. And so I think that would be data I'd like to see closer, to see, are they actually full-blown focused on making it a full-time job? Because it is, and it should be considered that. It needs your full attention. And I think, if you are really focused on your clients, the customer service, what it is that you're bringing, if you have a great brand to back you up, as you said before, leverage that. And if you're struggling with determining, can I do this full time? The answer is yes. And the answer is, if you love it, you will do it. And especially to the women that we're talking to regularly, you can do it. And you are able to make this your full-time role. And there are so many of us that are here to help you achieve those goals and to make it your full-time business and see you succeed at it. So many of us that can back you up and help you with that.
We look at a lot of the challenges that are out there and like why people are leaving. It could be because they're not doing any business. It could be because they haven't treated it like a business. And I think there's always a part of that where, people get in, there's this notion to be able to make, a ton of money. But I do believe a lot of people come into it with the maybe wrong expectations around what their role is. Like, how would you define their role in this business? Maybe in simple terms, because I know we could get expansive with that.
Customer service. That is it. We keep going back to it. I think if you're not realizing that you are in probably the biggest customer service industry that there is next to hospitality. And if you don't have that mentality, you're not servicing your clients. And that's how your business keeps going. So I think having that realization would be key for anybody who would like to ask me my advice. That's it. And how do I best serve these clients? If that is not the number one goal that you have in this business, I'm not really sure how else you could succeed if that is not top of your mind.
Well, listen, I'll tell you. I mean, I think you and I both know it, and it's unfortunate, but that's typically speaking not. And I don't want to bubble the entire industry like that because I know there's
Yeah.
a lot of amazing people that really do feel that way. But we do have a lot of people that come in, and especially over that past few years of that stuff that was going on.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, Putting aside a lot, it was a lot easier to make a dollar. It was quick, it was easy. People said, I'm a rock star. They went and bought fancy cars and nice clothes and showed themselves on Instagram like look at me, and all of a sudden,
Mhm.
hey, shit got real. Like it's time to actually run this thing like a bit. I mean, you should have been running like a business from day one, but I think a lot of people look at the end result and there's a lot of times where agents will be disrespectful with one another. Poor communication, speaking poorly about each other. And I always get this vision in my head, Sam, that it's like, you're sitting there with your client and I take you through this property and you love the property. And, we go and we make an offer and all of a sudden the listing agent doesn't get back. And you're sitting there going, well, so what happened? And I'm like, they're such idiots. They're so stupid. They suck at their job, blah, blah, blah. What am I saying right now about never mind this person I may not really know, but like, my colleague, my industry? What am I saying right now?
Mhm.
I'm almost saying to the person, hey, this industry really sucks and there's a lot of bad people. And what's happening now is the person on the other end, my client, let's say you in that situation, are going, oh, well, this is frustrating. This doesn't feel good. Yet, again, what I want everybody to kind of picture right now is when you think about any app on your phone, they talk about the UE, the user experience.
Right.
What's it like? How many clicks do you have to have? What do the
Mhm.
screens look like? How good does it feel? And this is why some apps completely take off. And this is why some apps never see the light of day or never, they just fall off. Well, now we bring that back out of the technology world to come to the customer service perspective. Why is such a positive customer experience sometimes even, or oftentimes, or maybe all the time, more important than the end result when you're talking about longevity and repeat business?
Yeah, I think there's a saying, and you'll probably know it better than me, that it's not what you say to people or do for people, it's how you make them feel.
Yeah.
And that is, I went to hospitality school. That's my background. So that is something that like every course at hospitality school is what is focused around, is making that experience. And you think something like the hospitality world in itself, you go to the Fairmont and it's every little detail they think of before as soon as you step in, you're not even realizing that you're experiencing something, right? And it's how you've left the hotel and how it's made you feel. You go to Disney and it's the whole experience. How does the child, every little detail is catered around their client, which is the child, to make it an experience for them, and the families then experience that magical moment together. And I think in our business, I think it's important that you are a part of a family or an individual's most emotional, biggest purchase of their life. And they're also,
Yep.
as we know, real estate is happening no matter what. You're going to have families expanding, families coming together and bringing in, sick parents that they need to look after. They need to buy bigger property. You've got divorces. You've got so much emotion, not just about the financial purchase. You're talking just about the home, and the home is so emotional. And I think if real estate agents are not, considering that as being part of an experience and part of the customer service and how to properly care for their clients, those are the ones that maybe are not seeing the return as quickly as those agents that are really diving into the connection. What is important to this client? You're not just a number, you're not just a transaction. And how can we make this business together work where I am servicing you, the client. And I think that's something for, our broker owners that may be listening. I think that's important, that we are servicing agents and that we have to understand as leaders, what is important to those agents? What do they need? What hunger do they have? They're not just showing up and knocking on their office door and looking for a listing. They want to learn. They want to grow. They want opportunity. And I think they want mentorship. And I think all of those things create these wonderful customer experiences that the client ultimately needs. Does that answer that question? Okay.
No, it does. And I think it hits it home for sure. And look, this is where longevity comes from.
Yeah.
right? Again, we've said this for a long time in this business, right? It's a relationship business. It's not a transactional business.
Yeah.
You know, I continue to tell people, you're not selling TVs or cars or travels packages. This is the
Yeah.
biggest
I've kind of
investment of my
lost that
entire
for a little
life.
bit, right? Lost that for a little bit.
Yeah, right. Like we've got to get back to that, to understanding what this is really all about. You know, it's more than just selling a house. This is
Yeah.
somebody's home, right? This is where their family is going to live. And so understanding the way that comes together and the emotions that are tied to that, that sometimes you're not even going to be exposed to, but it's like people going home and thinking and almost like falling in love with a house and then not getting the house. Like there's
Right.
so many ups and downs to the whole transactional process that when we can keep that in mind in this industry of, hey, I'm here to help people buy and sell a property. I'm not here to buy and sell properties, but I'm here to help people buy and sell properties. We start to shift, right? Because look, we put a ton of content out there online and we get a lot of backlash from people that are not in the industry, that are not happy with our industry. And unfortunately, like in any industry, there will always be some seeds that are not as good. There will always be some some people that maybe don't make it seem as positive as it is. But I also do believe that there's a lot of very amazing people in this industry that do such a great job of really truly caring about their clients, and that's what everybody needs to fully understand. Like, you want to take your business to the next level, right? Truly understand what you're doing and how you're helping people, and then put everything you can into helping them, and somehow they will help you back. Right.
Yeah.
That's the whole law of attraction, power of reciprocity.
And those agents you're talking about, the ones that are doing all of those regular activities, those are the ones you should be surrounding yourself with. And I think there's something to be said to that as well, that you're in business for yourself here in this industry, but also you have a wonderful pool and network of people that you can tap into. You just got to find the right ones with you. So.
Well, here, speaking of the right ones,
Yeah.
why should everybody figure out how to get more involved in their communities?
Yeah, I think, that I could talk about for days. I think there's community involvement, I think, is huge. It just adds to that experience. If you're not, as an agent, you're not regularly networking with other agents. You just never know when the opportunity for a referral is around the corner, for one. And especially
we call it building MindShare with others.
Exactly. And if you're going to do that, I'm going to say, for all of our listeners, please go to remax.ca and see the latest taxation report, because it was really interesting to see the stats that came out of the last year or so about interprovincial migration, because buyers here are starting, especially in Ontario, are starting to realize the opportunity they have if they go to maybe Atlantic Canada or Alberta. And it's not as costly. So, and it's best decision for their family. So, having that network of agents on a national scale is so important. And you're going to get that if you're going out and networking and putting yourself out there, even if you hate it. We all, some of us, I don't like it. I'm the worst, right? But I force myself to do it. It's so important for their business and for your business, but also the community. I think getting involved in your community, finding something that seems to be an area that you're really passionate about, and then just, jumping right into it. It doesn't even have to take a lot of time, but just having a general understanding of, how can I tap into this community and provide something for them? So whether that's, like the market downtown that they might have in the summer, or if there's a charity that you want to get involved with. That's probably one of my favorite things about Remax is our community involvement and our ties with Children's Miracle Network. I mean, we are the number one partner that they have with donations. It's astounding. Fantastic. What the Canadian Remax agents have donated over the years. It's phenomenal.
Way to go, Remax.
Yes. And so as a mom who had to go to Sick Kids Toronto with my son, it's so lovely when I get to speak to our agents and thank them for all that they have contributed, because those dollars, those donations that Remax agents took out of their own commission checks have gone towards local children's hospitals for, learning, education for doctors and nurses, technology, equipment, building certain units. So like wards, I should say, in the hospitals. So, my son had to go to Sick Kids because he was very badly burned when he was little. And so we spent a lot of time in the burn unit at Sick Kids, and that unit could not do what it does without the donations. And so the fact that I get to work with a company and work with agents that because of them, he got the treatment that he did, like I would, if I wasn't with this company, I would bow down to a Remax agent because like, thank you for all that you do. You never know when you're going to be sitting around that kitchen table with a client, trying to, establish that relationship and say, well, I donate to Children's Miracle Network, and you never know who you're speaking to. Or if you donate to the local food drive or the local toy drive at Christmas time. I think things like that to incorporate into your business builds that reputation that you have in your community, it gives you opportunity to network and get to know people, but more importantly, just adds to that customer experience we keep talking to. Why do consumers decide to go with brands that care for their communities or care for a certain cause? So you think on a bigger scale, other large corporations that have ties with charities, you tend to go towards that and pick it over maybe another corporation. So anyway, just some
Well, no, listen,
community
it goes
involvement.
further to even establish that trust factor.
Yeah.
Right. And we've got that cliche, know you, like you, trust you. Well,
Yeah.
it's a cliche for a reason.
Because it works.
That's it. Now we talk about networking, getting involved in our community. And in just a few weeks, we are going to be together in Ottawa at Reality 24. What are you most looking forward to? What's got you really excited? And I don't know if there's one thing we can talk about or not, but we might table that until we're there. And then maybe there's something else. And you know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. I don't know if everybody else knows what I'm talking about.
What am I most excited about? I'm excited about being there and talking to agents and getting to know what are their challenges. And again, how can I listen and go back to the team with how can we help these agents solve these problems? That's the most exciting part about getting together at events like this, is listening and taking back and digesting how can we solve this problem for these agents. So I guess I've just opened the door for everyone attacking me in Ottawa with problems, but I'm here for it.
Hey, that I'll tell you that would be one of the big things I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Like when Tim said to me, he goes, what are you most looking forward to? I said, being the glue.
Yeah.
Right. I want to be able to tie it together. I want people to walk away amped up, to go next level. What are you hoping people walk away with after those 2 days? What are you hoping to walk away with maybe?
Me, myself, I want to learn about what we can take back to the team at headquarters and figure out, are we on the right path here? What do we need to focus on? What's happening boots on the ground? That's me. Cool. For the agents, what I would love for anybody to go to an event like that is to walk away with at least one tidbit of a takeaway, just one something. And then referrals. I want you to, well, not referrals, but networking, those contacts. I think that is so important, to get out of your comfort zone and speak to someone you normally wouldn't get a chance to speak to, and getting an understanding of, what is their market like? What does it look like? And you might get a tidbit that way.
And should we take a moment to invite everybody to our Remax open house?
I would love to. So yes. So day one, I think it'll be the 6th. Is that right?
Yeah, 6. Yeah.
6. I should have checked that. It is the 6th. And so we are hosting a cocktail party called Open House with DJ Prez. And so we're going to have some really, really cool stuff happening inside there. So make sure if you are registered for the event, you also register to come to this cocktail session with us, and there'll be food and drinks. And you'll get to speak to one another and get a really good opportunity to kind of kick off your evening. I think that we can bring everybody together and get it going for the night. So
okay, so confirmed, it is March 6th. I'm almost 100% positive the open house.
March the 6th, which is the Wednesday, from 4:30
to 6:30, right?
You got it.
And DJ Prez will be there. And you just mentioned about registration. I just want to clarify. Do we got to be registered for the event? Do we need to pay to attend the open house, or we just got to register?
You just have to register.
Cool.
No fee for the party, but please register so that we can make sure that you can get yourself in. And we're really looking forward to it. I think there may also be some giveaways.
Well, listen, we're going to look, you know what? We're not telling you anymore. You guys got to show up now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All we're going to tell you, I'm going to tell you straight up, though, this is going to be an amazing, amazing event all around. We are going to have a power pack 2 days in Ottawa together. There are going to be, hundreds of people. We might have 1,000 people plus there. This is the place to be. If there's an event that you're going to join,
Yeah.
that is just industry wide here in this province, let alone the country, let alone the continent. Reality 24 is the place to be. Ottawa, Ontario, March 6th and 7th. Again, make sure you guys join us. Samantha, the day is over, and you've taken off the executive hat. You've put on the mom hat. The kids have finally gone to bed, and it's like time to just lay back, take off all the hats, and just sit back and sort of like reflect. Mm-hmm. How do you know it's been a successful day for you?
This question gets everybody on your show.
You really do listen.
I do. And I know the answer is not about money.
She's good.
I do. I listen. So I think how do I know it's been a successful day? Honestly, I feel the most successful when I feel like I have made somebody else's life easier that day. Does that sound weird? It sounds weird.
No.
If I have provided for somebody else, whether it's a family member, a team member, a friend, where I have just checked in and just been able just to give them some kind of advice or give them a laugh, more importantly, just made them giggle, that makes my whole day, knowing that I've done that. And I think as cheesy as it sounds, it's not always about the goals and the accountability and the hustle. It's just about the connection. And have I touched base with those that I love and care about today, whether they're my clients, my team, or my family. I think that's a successful day for me.
Well, we are grateful for the connection with you, and you've made me smile today. So away you can check that box. Final words of wisdom, anything that we can do to help everybody get out there, build more MindShare so they can get more market share. Just any final words before we sign off today?
I think just going back to what I feel like a big takeaway from this is you can do it, and people are here to support, and don't let doubt take over any sense of what your goals are, and you can do anything as long as you put your mind to it. And it's just so cheesy to say, but I've seen so much truth in that. And we're all in it together, and you never know what somebody else's story is. So just ask them, and it'll open up a whole new world of opportunities for you.
Well, it's certainly not cheesy. It is very real. I believe it to the core. I live it. I breathe it. I echo the exact same words to people. So very well said. This has been a fun show. I can't believe how quickly an hour went by.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Right? Like, just well spoken, some amazing tips. I mean, you shared some fantastic stuff here today. Samantha, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Bye, guys.
You bet. You are either listening to this on one of your favorite podcast platforms. Maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com. While you're there, be sure to download your free copy of our MindShare 101 goal setting worksheet to help you conquer 2024 and become the version of you that you really want to be. Or might as well, if you want to talk about personalized one-to-one coaching and in-person keynote talk for your upcoming event and or ongoing virtual training, just get in touch with me. We'll set up a consultation call, learn more about what you are looking to achieve and how we will help you do just that. For all inquiries, just get in touch with our team, and we'll definitely set up that call. Of course, please do not forget to leave a review of this podcast. We make it super easy for you. If you go to www.ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. If you are an iPhone user, it will take you directly to iTunes. If you're an Android user, it'll take you to Spotify. Of course, if you like any other platform, it'll help you get to those as well. But a really quick, simple, easy way. I mean, we've made it really easy for you to leave a 5 stars and a nice review of this show. So I thank you in advance for taking the time to do that. Of course, connect with me at MindShare 101 on Facebook and on TikTok, and David Greenspan 101 on Instagram if we have not yet. Before we sign off, I do want to take a moment to thank Kids Keep in Touch Systems, REM Magazine, and OREA, the Ontario Real Estate Association, for sponsoring this episode of the MindShare podcast. Be sure to get your tickets for Reality 24. Visit realityconference.ca. It is going to be an amazing, amazing event. We got so much in store for you in Ottawa, and just get those tickets today. This has been another episode of the MindShare podcast. Thank you for tuning in.